Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. And we are now Wednesday morning for our daily Chassidut class in Pirkei Avot, in the middle of Perek Shlishi, the third chapter, in the middle of Mishna 12, Mishna Yud Bet. Okay. Thank you very much to Raya and Mordechai for hosting this shiur and broadcasting it live to all of you. Yesterday, we started to talk about the fact that the Mishnah says that we need to be noach l'tishchoret. We need to be easygoing on the youth, and the importance of why it's so vital for us to keep the youth inspired and excited about Yiddishkeit and their Judaism. And today we're going to try to learn a couple of tips on how we can do it, because it's not always so easy. Sometimes it can be frustrating. But if we are focused on the goal, then hopefully we'll be able to raise a generation which will be the true leaders of the next generation. There was never such a situation as in our generation where there was an unrest on such a level, an unrest amongst the youth. All of the terrible stories that keep going onto the headlines in the news is about the youth doing this, youth doing that. And really where it's coming from a deep cry from in the heart, which is almost like it comes forth that they don't know exactly how to express their yearning for Yiddishkeit, so it comes out sometimes in a negative way. But they're looking for meaning. They're looking for something important. They're looking for quality in life. They realize deep down, consciously or subconsciously, they realize that so much in the world out there is just fake. It's a spiritual hunger. And their thirst is not being quenched. This only demands by us that we should, excuse me, that we should show them, the youth, patience, stability, and pleasure. And that Yiddishkeit is truly a pleasurable thing, and that they will only enjoy, they will only get good from being more involved in Yiddishkeit. The message needs to be that each and every one of us has a mission, has a shlichut, a godly mission in the world. And we have to nurture this thirst. We all need to sit with our families, with the youth, and to talk about real issues, life issues, and about our goals. In order that this communication should be beneficial, it needs to be very, very honest. Instead of doing silly things out of the house, we need to encourage the youth to set aside a couple of hours for discussing real issues and giving them answers that will help them in their challenges in life. The youth are on fire. That's just how they are. That's how Hashem created them. We're not allowed to extinguish that fire. We need to encourage them. It's good that you have a fire. It's good that you have life and vitality. If you will only direct it in the right way, you will be able to accomplish amazing things. In order to see a real difference in the youth of today, we have to change, first and foremost, our own approach as adults, not to view them, not to approach them as rebels, rather as individuals who have a lot of energy and they can lead to make big changes in this generation and in the coming generations. In short, we're not allowed to be afraid from the youth. We have to zoom in and see their potential and build on that. There was a very wise young man, and he always kept on making mistakes, failing in his learning, and he couldn't find any rational explanation for it. So his parents came with him to the Rabbi, and they were hoping to have an explanation and an answer why this boy, this young man, is not being successful in his learning. So the Rebbe turned to him and asked him, I heard that you're very successful in science. Please tell me what's the difference between regular electric light and a laser beam. So the young boy said, like a teenager, he said, it's very simple. The laser focuses the light beam in order that the electricity should be more centered and focused, and regular, as opposed to regular light, regular electricity, which just shoots out light to all directions. So the Rebbe said, do you need to have extra, the Rebbe asked him, is there a necessity to have an extra level of energy in order to create this laser beam? So the young man smiled and answered the Rebbe, not really. But he smiled because he realized that the Rebbe is hinting to him that all he needs is to focus all of his energy, instead of being all over the place, to be focused on one thing, and it'll be super, super successful. So we see how the Rebbe turns to the youth and talks to them in their own language and gives him a pleasant way of understanding that he can make a real big difference and a long-term difference. You know, there's a verse that says, we're not allowed to put a stumbling block in front of a blind person. From here we learn that a person is not allowed to hit their maturing child, their teenage child, because that can, God forbid, cause him to hit the parent back. And in other words, causing the person to violate the mitzvah of kibud av va'em, honoring one's parents. In other words, it can be translated as the physical hit, it can be translated as being an extreme level of being tough. So we have to realize, we have to pay attention to the potential understanding and responses from the child who is becoming an adult in the process of becoming an adult, in order to refrain from impulsive actions that may cause, God forbid, that may cause a response in a way that's very undesirable. One time, a teacher once asked her students, somebody once asked a teacher, do you teach mathematics? And she answered, no, I teach students. The teacher did not see herself as looking at a certain quota that she has to fulfill. Rather, she saw, number one, first and foremost, the individuals as students. And she wanted to fit the quota and the text into the students that she was trying to educate. It's all about how you view your students. When the teenager realizes that we're there for them and not for any ulterior motives, then they respond in kind. In the teenage years, peer pressure plays a major role in the life of a teenager. So it's very important that a teenager feels part of the clan. There was one time a Jewish young man was very, very down and depressed by themselves, and to have an effect on him that he should leave her and he should not marry her. The tzaddik welcomed in the young man, and they spoke about all kinds of matters, and he didn't mention one word about the Gentile girl. When the boy came home, the parents asked him what was the conversation about, and they were very disappointed to reveal that the most important subject wasn't even brought up. So the father called the tzaddik and asked him, why did you not convince the boy to leave her? And so the tzaddik answered, what did you hear from your son? What was his impression of our meeting? And so the father said, the boy was very, the boy was very happy to have spoken with you, and he said that he likes you very much. And the tzaddik answered, that's exactly what I wanted to accomplish. If he will love me, then he will not love her. So he knew how to zoom into the real issue of what was bothering the boy. And once he was able to reveal that really there's a connection between the boy and the tzaddik and the rabbi, then pretty much everything will fit into place. And that's the real way how we're supposed to have an effect on the youth today. If we will think a little deeper, we will understand that one of the reasons why the youth seem to be so rebellious is because it's an expression of their existence. They want to count, they want to be in existence, and that's their way of saying this, of expressing this, of relating this. The truth is that the spirit of rebellion is not necessarily a negative thing. It can bring good things if it's expressed in the correct way. For example, leitzanut, which is being silly and laughing, so it usually has a negative connotation. But if we call it instead of mocking, we call it life and excitement. In other words, if it's used in the right way, then it can be considered something positive. So when a person doesn't just give up so easily, they will not allow misjudgment to go by, then a person will be determined to bring blessing and to bring positive energy. And this is why the Rebbe's approach was, and the Rebbe's approach remains, that it's all about how we view, how we respond to rebellion. If it's rebelling against negativity, then it's a good thing. For example, there's a gentleman in Kfar Chabad. His name is Nimrod. Nimrod is the guy who tried to kill Avraham Avinu, the king, because Avraham Avinu broke all the idols in his father Terach's shop. So most rabbis, most Kabbalists will tell a person, he was obviously named Nimrod way before he became close to Yiddishkeit. But he was born to a Jewish family, and unfortunately that's the name that they called him. They must have had very, very anti-religious, anti-Jewish thoughts and ways of life. So when he asked the Rebbe, should I change my name? The Rebbe said, no way. You will be rebellion. You will be rebellious against everything which is opposed to Yiddishkeit. In the 1950s, the Rebbe established Lubavitch Youth Organization. Until today, it's called Tzirei Agudat Chabad, the outreach branch of Chabad, which brings all of the outreach to the world, is called Lubavitch Youth Organization. And some of the elderly of Chabad, they turned to the Rebbe and they said, I'm obviously paraphrasing, are we mashed potatoes? We're not like part of this? And the Rebbe said, no way. The Rebbe said, the youth have a great energy, and you have the guidance. You have the life's experience. And so together with you, they need to carry out their outreach work. In 1961, President Kennedy established the Army of Peace, and he called on men, women, and children to go out into third world countries and to help the needy. There were many, many volunteers, and the declaration of the President of the United States was sort of like an echo to what the Rebbe had said, that the youth need to recognize how the real power that they have and to use it in a positive way. Later on, in 1980, the Rebbe used this concept for the concept of Mashiach. The Rebbe established Tzivot Hashem, which is the army of Hashem, which until today, it's, I believe, the largest Jewish children's organization, in order to empower the youth and children that they should be able to bring Mashiach with dafka, with their energy. To summarize this concept, we spoke about the importance of recognizing the potential of our youth in a most pleasant way. And we need to respect them, and when they see that we're respecting them, they will respond in kind. David HaMelech says in the Tehillim, Kechitzim biyad gibor, kein b'nei ha'ne'orim. As arrows in the hand of a mighty person, so too are the youth. The blessing of the work of education is compared to an arrow in the hand, in the bow of a strong man, of a mighty individual. The main purpose of the gibor, of the strong man is to direct, to aim the arrow in the right place. This way, it will hit the goal exactly in the right place. Same thing is with education. The youth are like arrows, and the parent or the educator is like the mighty man. The main purpose of the educator is to recognize the talents of the teenager or the child, and to say the right words in the right place and in the right time, in order to put him in the right in the correct path. And here's an interesting episode which teaches us of the connection between the Rebbe and the youth. There was an Israeli reporter that came to 770 at the Rebbe's shul at the time of Tishrei, the time of the Chagim of the Yom Tovim. there were more than 10,000 people there, and he was very surprised to see that most of the people were teenagers, were young Bachurim from the yeshiva. And he wrote afterwards as follows, quote, 70 or 80% of the people in 770 are the youth. If an 80-year-old person is able to focus all of his koach, his energy, on such young people, and so all these people come from many different backgrounds, and to inspire them, to get them all upheated, that means that there is a future to this organization and to this group. So this is really the one of the main things that the Rabbi would do was to focus on the youth. And just to finish off, I once thought to myself, it's very rare to have a great tzaddik, a great leader, several times a year to spend an hour or so in the summertime, or it's for all the camps or the chagim. The Rebbe would talk on the level of the children, and you had thousands of children in 770. And this shows and for the Rebbe, every moment was extremely precious. But this shows the dedication that the Rebbe has to children and realizing their potential and doing everything in his power to uplift them to the greatest heights. Thank you very much for joining us. You should have a wonderful day. Bezrat Hashem, tomorrow morning we'll be learning together over here. And Friday morning, 9:30, we're going to learn Kabbalah Cafe. And Shabbat, we'll have an amazing Shabbat night. After Shabbat, it's the night of Slichot. So we'll have a Farbrengen at 11 o'clock. And 12:30 will be the Slichot, 12:30 a.m. in middle of Motzai Shabbat. All the best. Have a wonderful day. We look forward to seeing all of you in person.
I'm looking forward to seeing you and your family this coming Sunday, August 29th, 2021, Bezrat Hashem, for the online concert of Chabad of Rechavia called Bringing Jerusalem to the World, with Avram Fried, Amit Sofer, Gershon Wachtel, Nisim Black, and of course the Children's Boys Choir of Pirkei Yerushalayim. See you then.